Believe it or not, the single family market right now is not the only sector that is performing higher than I had expected. The condo market is similar to the single family market. And well, townhouses are right about where I expected they would be. I am so confused right now. Seriously though, this does not make sense. So that's why I'm going to dive into the numbers and get to the bottom of what's actually happening in the Kelowna real estate market for February 2024. Well, here we are cruising through 2024 and at the beginning of March already. Speaking of which, I just got back from a cruise. That's why the tan, not because I put a tanning bed at my house or anything. Although that would be pretty cool to have. All right, the townhouse sector is really the only market in the central Okanagan that is getting hit where we're seeing some losses in that benchmark pricing. Both the single family and condo markets are both up, but my feeling is that is a false sense of what the reality will be towards the end of the year. So let's dive into the benchmark pricing line graph and have a look at a few things before I put my detective hat on and try to figure out just what is happening right now. But before we do, please make sure to go ahead and share this video with someone that you think needs to see it. Hit the like and subscribe button to be notified of the next video that we load up to the channel. All right, let's get into it. Welcome to Live Love Kelowna. All right, so here we are checking out the benchmark price performance over time. This is the HPI graph that I really love to play around with every once in a while. I mean, every month actually, I'm looking at generating these types of market videos, and so I wanted to go all the way back to 2022 and have a look to see what's happening over the course of the last couple of years in the Kelowna real estate market. So as you can see here, the bottom line right here is the apartment sector. So this is the trend line over the course of the last 2 years from 2022 to current day, February 2024. We can see the blue line here. This is the townhouse sector, and the red line up here, of course, is the single family market. So let's have a quick look at the condo market. If we go back to January and February of 2023, we see that the market has been pretty flat. We see that there's a few peaks and valleys, but nothing major to be concerned about. In fact, what we're looking at here are price appreciation in both January and February to February of this year. So we go back to January 2023, the benchmark price of an apartment style condo in Kelowna was $495,600. If we fast forward to January, prices dropped in that year over year, but we come up to February and the numbers are at $508,600. So there's a bit of a jump there from January of 2023 to February of 2024 of around 10 grand, give or take a few $100. So condo market up, not significantly, slightly. And I'll get into a little bit more of why I think that's happening a little bit later on in this video. Let's get up here into the middle tier. This is the townhouse sector. If we go all the way back to 2022, January, the price of a townhouse in January 2022 was $770,000. Not really looking all the way back there. I will get to the 2022 numbers for a significant reason, but let's go to the 2023 numbers. So let's have a look at what happened in January. So the benchmark price of a townhouse in Kelowna in January of 23 was $734,700. We saw a bit of a blip in February of that year, all the way up to $787,000, $787,900. And then if we fast forward to February of this year, there is a significant drop. So as I mentioned in my preamble, prior to the rest of this video, I mentioned that the townhouse sector is performing exactly as I thought it would. This is exactly what I thought was going to happen. I figured that prices were going to be correcting, and I don't see that prices in the townhouse sector are going to get any better. In fact, what I'm thinking is that this trend line is going to continue probably more or less along this axis here, rather than, say at this axis right here at that $800,000 mark. So we're going to see some fluctuations in that 700 and probably 740 all the way up to about 760, 770 price range is where I see the townhouse market coming and going. So let's check out the single family market. Oh, so yeah, and as well as the townhouse market, I mean, we saw it. So the total drop in pricing is about 3.6% if you're looking at February to February of 23 to 24. So let's have a quick look at the single family market. We're going to look at January of this year, January of 2023. single family benchmark price in January of 2023 was $967,700. Fast forward to January of 2024, $989,800 to February of this year, over $1 million. So the benchmark price of a single family home in the Kelowna market for February of 2024 is $1,009,100. So a bit of a bump, an increase from January, February of last year. February was 969. We're up about 40 grand. Now, again, wait until a little bit further on in this video. I'm going to explain why I think that is happening. I've got some pretty good data to explain that. Now, I had mentioned 2022 numbers. The only reason why I mentioned 2022, the reason why I have this graph opened up as well, is to really show you guys exactly what happened in 2022. We saw a massive spike, a massive peak in the single family market here in 2022. This is where the craziness absolutely stopped. You can see that the benchmark price of a single family home in Kelowna was $1.173 million. Same thing happened in March of 2022 for the townhouse market, $841,000, a far cry. That's $100,000 correction, you guys, almost $100,000 between March of 2022 to February of 2024. And then we're looking at the apartment sector here as well, $554,600. That was the peak all the way back in March of 2022. Today, we're at $508,000. That's a marked drop of about 46 grand over the course of the last year and a half or so. So the trend line, in my opinion, number one, prices are not going to go back to those peak numbers, I don't think, for probably quite a few years. The activity in the Kelowna market suggests over time that we're entering this period of flat, no growth time frame where we're not going to see massive peaks and valleys. It's going to be relatively flat. In the good years, we might see 1 or 2% increase. In the bad years, we're going to probably see 1 to 2% decrease, and that's likely to last over the course of the next 5 or 6 years or so. We're likely not to see any major spikes in prices. At least getting back to those numbers for probably the next 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 years. So the trend line is suggesting that we're kind of entering that period of flatness. So let's get back to the rest of the video. We'll talk a little bit about the townhouse sector. We can talk about some sales numbers and that sort of thing. And looking forward to diving into the rest of this video and figuring out exactly what's happening in this condo or in this real estate market here in Kelowna. All right, so let's look at the sales activity for the townhouse sector. February saw a total of 44 units sold, with the highest sale price coming in at $1.085 million and the lowest sale coming in at $305,000. Now, these 44 sales it's actually an increase of 20% over the same month last year. Now, an interesting bit of information to note here is that there was only one sale over the 7-figure threshold this past February, where February 23 saw 4. And the lowest sale price that year coming in at $340,000. So even though there were more sales this year, the price points were lower, fewer 7-figure sales, and lower low end, which all contributes to that lower benchmark price year over year. All right, the apartment sector in 23 saw a total number of sales of 77, with the highest sale price coming in at $1.35 million and the lowest coming in at $148,000. Now, this February saw a drop in sales of about 21% down to 61, but also saw 2 sales over the 7-figure threshold, as well as a higher lower end sale of $228,000. So fewer sales but higher price points are contributing to that slight increase that we are seeing in the condo market. Okay, so the single family market, what the heck is happening here? February of 2023 saw a total of 127 sales, and we saw a drop in activity last month compared to 23, with total sales coming in at 101, which is a drop of 21%. We saw some higher end homes in 23 sell for significant prices, but the difference between today and last year are the number of properties that sold for $800,000 and below. In 2023, there were 34 homes that sold at or under that price point, and in 24, there were far less, with 23 homes selling at or under $800,000. Now, those 2 massive price points that sold in 2023 just weren't enough to keep that benchmark pricing up there. That's why I believe we are seeing what seemingly looks like an uptick in the benchmark, but the reality is that it's about a bit of a false sense of security. Sales for single family homes are down almost 21% year over year. Now, that is a significant drop. This points towards the demand in the marketplace. This demand will likely continue unless we see a lot of Alberta money coming back into Kelowna thinking that we are on sale. At this point, we aren't yet, so I don't see that happening. Over the last week, we have seen about 254 new listings come to market and a total of 53 sales. And so if that trend continues over the next 4 weeks, we could see a total of 1,060 new listings to add to the 2,864 properties already listed and only 212 total sales. Now, I think it's rather rudimentary to make that kind of a prediction, especially with the spring market about to be slammed upon us here. So let's just say that the total new listings is 30% less and the total sales are 20% more, which would balance us out in terms of those drops in sales. Now that still puts us at 711 new listings with 254 sales against a total listing count of over 3,600 properties. Unfortunately, the way I'm continuing to look at the market, specifically in the single family and condo sectors, is that we're seeing a false increase in pricing. So over the next few months, as sales see a slight uptick, along with more than usual increase in inventory due to a couple of factors like short-term rental restrictions, as well as flipping restrictions just now announced in the new provincial budget, we're going to see those prices correct. Now, the trend line suggests that the last month was a momentary blip upward and that we'll likely see the coming months continue back to correction. Now, the market overall is still in a state of correction. I do believe it will likely level out for most sectors by the end of this year, and we might actually see a return to relative balance by Q1 of 2025. Now, a lot of this will be buoyed by a couple of drops in interest rates and more buyers getting into the market due to increased affordability as it is in the Kelowna market. Now, don't expect the market to get back to a seller's market anytime soon. As I've mentioned in previous market update videos, the trend line suggests that the next significant increase in price points in the Okanagan won't be for close to another decade. For right now, though, if you're a seller, get used to being on the market for a little while, as it will take some time to find the right buyer for your home. Now, if you're a buyer right now, you're in the driver's seat. Remember, you don't get what you don't ask for. Do your due diligence on pricing and make sure you know the market before you make that offer. All right, if you're thinking about making a move into or out of the Okanagan, then we should probably talk. You can call me or text me at 403-827-7527, or you can always email me at info@livelovekelowna.ca. Now, alternatively, you can go ahead and click on the link in the description down below and book directly into my calendar to have a chat about the Kelowna real estate market. All right, we'll see you on the next video.